Welcome to the Partardez channel. Today we explain Prophets Kings 2, Chapter 2 in a clear and simple way, step by step. So let's just dive right into it. This chapter, it's honestly got one of the most dramatic, totally awe-inspiring moments in the entire text. We're looking at the impending departure of the great prophet Elijah and that huge passing of the torch to his devoted student Elisha. It's really a masterclass in transitions, moving from the old guard to the new with some incredible, literal demonstrations of power along the way. So let's set the stage. Here's our game plan for today. We'll start with the hook and context, map out the journey to the Jordan, witness the chariot of fire, follow the search for Elijah, look at Elisha's first miracles, and finally wrap up with key lessons and a recap. All right, Section 1, the hook and context. Let's establish exactly where we are. Right as Chapter 2 opens, we get this clear, direct spoiler in the very first verse. The Lord is about to take Elijah up to heaven in a whirlwind. Both Elijah and Elisha are traveling together, starting from a place called Gilgal. The text doesn't hide what's going to happen at all. Instead, it's inviting us to watch how it happens, and really how Elijah handles this massive shift. We can actually map out their route physically. They go from Gilgal over to Bethel, down to Jericho, and eventually cross the Jordan River. You see, this isn't just some casual stroll. It's a very specific, almost ceremonial procession through key locations in Israel. And at every single stop, this fascinating pattern unfolds between the master and the student. Moving to Section 2, the journey to the Jordan, where Elijah tests his students' devotion. As they're walking, Elijah keeps giving Elisha the same directive. At Gilgal, at Bethel, and again at Jericho, Elijah basically says, hey, stay here, because the Lord has sent me on to the next place. He's actively testing his student. It's almost like he's offering Elisha an easy out, right? A chance to avoid the pain of this impending separation. But Elisha, no way. He refuses every single time. And this brilliantly shows us his true character. His fierce, unwavering loyalty is right on display as he fires back with a solemn oath. As surely as the Lord lives and as you live, I will not leave you. He literally says this 3 separate times. He is absolutely determined to stay by his master's side until the very last possible second. Now, adding to all this tension are the bystanders. At both Bethel and Jericho, the company of the prophets, which in the Hebrew text refers to groups of devoted followers and students learning under prophetic leadership, they come out to meet Elisha. They pull him aside and warn him like, do you know that the Lord is going to take your master from you today? They all know what's coming. But Elisha just tells them, yes, I know, but be silent. He doesn't want to talk about it. No distractions. His focus is 100% locked on Elijah. 50 of these prophets actually follow them at a distance, watching as the 2 men finally reach the Jordan River. And when they get there, Elijah takes his cloak, rolls it up, and literally strikes the water. The waters part to the right and left, and the 2 men just cross over on completely dry ground. Which brings us to Section 3, the Chariot of Fire. The narrative is building to an incredible climax here. So, having crossed the Jordan and left all the crowds behind, they are totally alone. The moment of departure is right at the door. Elijah turns to Elisha and asks, essentially, what can I do for you before I'm taken away? Elisha makes a really bold request. He asks for a double portion of Elijah's spirit. He wants to be the primary heir, the true successor to his master's ministry. And Elijah's like, well, you've asked a hard thing. But he lays out a specific condition. Elisha getting this inheritance depends entirely on his ability to witness the actual physical departure. He says, if you see me when I am taken from you, it will be yours. Otherwise, it will not. So Elisha's inheritance requires his complete, undivided attention, no matter how terrifying or wild the next few moments are going to be. And as they're walking and talking, the unimaginable happens. Out of nowhere, a chariot of fire and horses of fire suddenly appear, parting the 2 men asunder. The text is very literal here. The fire literally drives a physical wedge between them, separating master and student. And then a whirlwind sweeps Elijah right up into heaven. Elisha, keeping his eyes wide open, successfully witnesses the whole thing. He sees Elijah going up by a whirlwind into heaven, and he cries out this incredibly famous phrase, my father, the chariots of Israel and the horsemen thereof. He saw it. He fulfilled the condition. And that cry? It acknowledges Elijah not just as his personal spiritual father, but as the true defense and spiritual strength of the entire nation of Israel. But then the vision ends. Elisha sees him no more. Realizing Elijah is truly gone, Elisha takes hold of his own clothes and tears them in two. It's a very clear, literal act of profound grief and mourning. The master he was so devoted to is gone. But wait, Elisha's story doesn't end in grief. He immediately picks up the cloak that had fallen from Elijah. He walks right back to the bank of the Jordan River, takes that exact same cloak, and strikes the water, calling out, "Where now is the Lord, the God of Elijah?" The waters part just like they did for his master, and Elijah crosses back over alone. The transition is officially complete. Let's move to Section 4, the search for Elijah, dealing with some lingering doubts. So Elisha is now the undisputed leader. Those 50 prophets from Jericho, the ones watching from a distance, they see him part the river. They know exactly what this means. They declare the spirit of Elijah is resting on Elisha, and they come out to meet him, bowing face down to the ground to submit to his new authority. But here's the catch. Even though they bow down, their next request shows they're still kind of hesitating to accept reality. They insist on sending 50 strong men to go search the mountains and valleys for Elijah. They're thinking, hey, maybe the Spirit of the Lord just picked him up and dropped him on some mountain. But Elisha, who knows exactly what he just saw, has absolute certainty. He tells them flat out, no, do not send them. So why did they end up searching for 3 solid days anyway? Well, the text tells us these prophets persisted and urged Elisha until he was literally embarrassed or ashamed to keep saying no to them. So he finally caves and says, fine, send them. The 50 men go out, scour the region for 3 days, and come back completely empty-handed. When they return, Elisha just looks at them and says, didn't I tell you not to go? That exhaustive 3-day search proved once and for all to everyone watching that Elijah was truly gone. The old era was definitively over. Now for Section 5, Elisha's first miracles, where he really proves his new authority. With all those lingering doubts finally put to rest, Elisha steps fully into his role. The rest of the chapter shows him demonstrating his authority, not just over the prophets, but over the physical land itself, through 2 very profound miracles at Jericho and Bethel. His first test is from the men of Jericho. They come to him and say, look, the city's in a great spot, but the water's bad and it's making the land unfruitful. So Elisha asks for a new bowl with salt in it. He walks right to the source of the water, throws the salt in, and declares in the name of the Lord that the water is healed. And the text notes that the water has remained wholesome to this day. This is a brilliant miracle because it instantly establishes Elisha's life-giving prophetic authority. He brings blessing and restoration to the people right out of the gate. But you know, the prophetic office isn't just about handing out blessings. It demands serious respect. Moving on from Jericho, Elisha heads up toward Bethel. And as he's walking along the road, the text describes him facing some pretty violent disrespect. A group of youths come out of the town and just start mocking him, yelling, "Go on up, you bald head! Go on up, you bald head!" Now, this isn't just some harmless playground teasing. It's a deep, intentional insult directed at the newly established representative of God. So Elisha turns around, looks right at them, and calls down a curse on them in the name of the Lord. And in a stark, immediate judgment, 2 bears come rushing out of the woods and maul exactly 42 of those youths. Yeah, it's a very severe, shocking moment in the text. But we have to understand its purpose in the narrative. It cements his unassailable authority. Disrespecting God's chosen prophet was met with swift, literal divine retribution. After this harrowing event, Elisha continues his journey, going on to Mount Carmel, and eventually heading back to Samaria. His position as the undisputed prophet of Israel is now totally, firmly established. Finally, Section 6, Key Lessons and Recap. Okay, let's pull all of this together into some clear takeaways. We followed a very distinct geographical and narrative path today. First, we learned the immense power of steadfast dedication through Elisha's journey. His absolute refusal to leave Elijah's side is exactly what positioned him to receive that double portion. Second, that 3-day search by the prophets teaches us the real importance of accepting transitions in leadership. The old era is gone, and staring backward is just fruitless. And finally, those striking events at Jericho and Bethel show us that God's newly appointed authority brings immense, life-giving blessings, but it also demands profound, serious respect. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with this question to chew on. How do you handle moments of profound transition in your own life? Think carefully about how you respond when the seasons change. Are you resisting the transition like those prophets searching the empty mountains? Or are you stepping forward into your new responsibilities with the unwavering focus of Elijah? Thank you for learning with us. If this helps you understand the chapter better, like, subscribe, and join us for the next chapter.